who says Warwick Stock had a protection order granted against 5 people. The individuals, whose identities are unknown at this stage, were reportedly living at a hijacked building called Zambezi, where Stock was managing the security. Stock's company, Elite VIP, secured the security contract. Chwaku told EWN that there were genuine threats against Stock's life by those listed in the protection order. The protection order was a week old. Stock was shot at least 4 times while leaving the building yesterday. Aryan Singh, Eyewitness News.
The Home Affairs Department has confirmed the arrest of 7 Kenyan nationals. The group was apprehended for allegedly processing refugee applications for United States asylum seekers. The department says they are in the country illegally after earlier visa applications for them to perform this job were denied. The arrests were made at an undisclosed site in Johannesburg yesterday after the department received a tip-off of illegal work being carried out. Minister Leon Schreiber has clarified that no United States official was arrested during that operation. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The Department of Home Affairs says yesterday's arrests of Kenyan nationals were part of a routine and lawful operation with other arms of law enforcement. When the United States introduced its refugee program for Afrikaners earlier this year, it had applied for work visas to second Kenyan staff linked to its refugee program through the organization Church World Service to process the applications. Home Affairs denied the visas. It has since emerged that these staffers entered South Africa on tourist visas instead. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber says the staff have been issued with deportation orders and will be prohibited from entering South Africa for the next 5 years.
No US officials were arrested in the process, the operation was not conducted at a diplomatic site, and no members of the public or prospective refugees were harassed.
Schreiber says the operation was carried out according to the same procedures that have seen Home Affairs dramatically intensify deportations over the past 18 months. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Annual consumer price inflation dropped marginally to 3.5% in November, down from 3.6% in October. This is the second time that year-on-year inflation has slowed after the only other drop in March. Stats SA released the latest consumer price print today. Chief Director for Price Statistics at Stats SA, Patrick Kelly, says annual inflation cooled in 5 of the 13 product categories.
The biggest slowdowns were in transport, recreation, sport and culture, and information and communication. 4 categories registered no change, while we noted higher rates of change for food and non-alcoholic beverages, restaurants and accommodation services, and alcoholic beverages and tobacco.
To this now, DA leader John Steenhuisen says the formation of the Government of National Unity has been a reminder of the strength of South Africa's democracy. In a video message to commemorate Reconciliation Day, Steenhuisen says reconciliation is not about forgetting the past, but rather about acknowledging it honestly. He says it was the voters in 2024's elections that tested true democracy, and the GNU is now showcasing reconciliation at work.
Your vote brought diverse parties together in a government of national unity. And your voice set us on a path towards stability, cooperation, and renewed hope.
Steenhuisen says last month's retreat of the GNU political party leaders at the cradle of humankind was symbolic in that it forced them to reflect on their common humanity in pursuit of improving the lives of all South Africans.
Let us honour the courage of South Africans who continue to believe in our democracy and who use their voice and their vote to build a better future.
And further afield, a former Harvard Medical School morgue manager has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for stealing and selling body parts. A federal judge handed down the sentence to Cedric Lodge, who pleaded guilty to trafficking the stolen remains from 2018 to 2020. According to reports, the parts were donated for scientific research. More than 400 families whose loved ones donated their bodies to Harvard were affected by the thefts. Gold is trading at $4,320, 2 cents an ounce. The rand is at 16.74 to the dollar, 22.32 to the pound, 19.62 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $58.92 a barrel.
In Selby, traffic remains sluggish. This is on the M2 westbound from the Crown Interchange to Main Reef Road. There's also slow-moving traffic in the area that's leaving the Joburg CBD on Main Reef Road between Anderson and Church Street. And in the Mother City, also expect delays on the M5 northbound between the N1 and the Coburg Interchange.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 27 degrees, while Cape Town is partly cloudy with isolated showers and rain from this evening. Temperatures have peaked at a high of 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Joburg Metro Police are expected to meet with the man who slain DJ Warris allegedly last spoke to.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Coming up on the show today, the latest on the police investigation into DJ Warris's murder. The Public Works Minister is giving an update on the KZN temple collapse. Home Affairs says it conducted a standard immigration operation at a US refugee center. The preliminary Madlanga Commission report due to be handed to the presidency today, and inflation eases to 3.5% in November. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Hope you had a great public holiday yesterday, whatever you found yourself doing. I've been watching the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson. He's been having a briefing on the outcomes of the investigation by the Council of the Built Environment into the building collapse, the temple that collapsed in Redcliffe in the north of Durban, 5 people dying in that incident. And it's astonishing that the plans weren't submitted, they weren't signed off. Like after what happened in George last year, the fact that that's happened again, that kind of incident, is extremely concerning. So we'll get an update on that and find out what happened there. And then Home Affairs has put out a statement about this bizarre story. So the Department of Home Affairs and other law enforcement carried out an operation at one of this refugee center where Afrikaners are going to get processed to get sent to the US. But the issue is that there are Kenyan nationals on tourist visas that are working at this center processing the applications. But this is despite the fact that the applications for the Kenyan nationals to perform this work had been declined by the department. But now the Americans are upset because the Americans are saying that South Africans have, what did they say? That a U.S. State Department official, a U.S. official, has been detained at the refugee center, and the State Department spokesperson said that they're seeking immediate clarification from the South African government. They expect full cooperation and accountability, and that South Africa is interfering in our refugee operations, and it's unacceptable. So we'll get the latest on that with the Home Affairs Department. We've been reaching out to officials there. You can send me a WhatsApp voice note, 072 7021 702, 072 567 1567. Very tragic news breaking yesterday about the murder of DJ Warwick Stock, who was shot and killed in the Joburg CBD. It's understood he and his security team were clearing out a hijacked building when a man shot and killed him. Of course, the police investigation still underway. There video footage showing that the suspect approached Stock as he was leaving Zambezi House in Joburg's CBD just after noon yesterday, before opening fire and fleeing the scene. Oren Singh, EWN reporter, has been following the story for us. Oren, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. What do we know so far about the shooting?
Afternoon, Mandy. Well, as far as we know at the moment, Warwick Stock, aka DJ Warris, wasn't at the building to do any sort of evictions. He had merely visited or popped into the building there. There was a security team that was installing a biometric access control system as well as CCTV cameras. And DJ Warris had stopped by just to assist in managing that process, to show them where everything needed to go, to get them proper access, because he had previously entered into some sort of contract to have the building secured by his security team. And we understand that he was only meant to be there for a few minutes. He was only there for a little while, and he was meant to have left to go to Hyde Park to meet an associate of his, an associate that we're going to be meeting in the next 5 minutes to talk about what happened and to give us a little bit more detail. According to this associate, whose name is Innocent, he's someone that is part of DJ Warris's security personnel, and he's someone who DJ Warris kind of goes around with everywhere he goes, someone that's been said to have been his right-hand man. And Innocent himself, who I've already spoken to, and I'm going to meet face-to-face in a short while, Mandy, said he wasn't comfortable with DJ Warris going to Zambezi house by himself. But DJ Warris told him, don't worry, I'm just popping in just to make sure everything runs smooth regarding this installation of this biometric system and CCTV, and then I'll come meet you in Hyde Park. So he was meant to have met Innocent in Hyde Park. They had some other business to attend to there. But, you know, a lot of what's coming out at the moment, Mandy, is a lot of speculation that DJ Warris may have had some sort of shares in this building at Zambezi House. And we're trying to get concrete evidence or information to suggest whether he had dealings regarding this building. We know that he previously dealt with it in terms of clearing it. There were some people that were objecting being evicted from this premises, and there were protection orders that he had opened just last week at Johannesburg Central around people that had been threatening himself as well as his security team.
And Oren, we know that DJ Warris was also very outspoken about hijacked buildings, about crime. He used his platforms to really vocalize his feelings on this.
Yeah, definitely, Mandy. I think in the recent weeks, he'd been on several podcasts speaking out about the city of Johannesburg in specific, the fact that they've been doing nothing, and that hijacked buildings within the inner city of Joburg continue to just thrive. I mean, this modus operandi of people forming committees and choosing not to pay rent, and then boycotting rent, and then forming a sort of committee that is involved in the hijacking process is something that's been going on for decades, something that continues to happen within the inner city. And I think it's safe to say that DJ Warris had not made any friends in his sort of move to try and combat the scourge of hijacked buildings. Right now, police are working around the clock to try and identify the people who committed this shooting or involved in the shooting and killing of DJ Warris, and they're still trying to piece the puzzle together, or put together the pieces of the puzzle to try and get some concrete evidence or leads on the suspect that conducted the shooting.
Oren, thank you very much. Oren Singh, EWN reporter, following that police investigation. Well, let's speak now to Dr. Mqini Chwaku, who is the Joburg MMC for Public Safety. Dr. Chwaku, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. As the MMC for Public Safety, I understand from comments that you've made that there had been several prior protection orders that were taken out by Warwick Stock.
Yes, there was a protection order that was actually taken because there were individuals within the building that were intimidating the security personnel of Warren and also himself. So it was taken out from there's a committee there headed by the protection order is citing a woman called Sophia. And then the order has also granted SAPS, Johannesburg Central, to do a raid on guns and knives and everything. Because in that order, it has been citing that there's been a lot of intimidation, threatening to burn down the building, threatening to deal with the security guards that were there that were placed by Warren.
And how concerned are you about this ongoing problem of hijacked buildings, the lawlessness that surrounds it, and getting that under control in the Joburg CBD? Because this is endemic of a much larger problem.
Yeah, look, man, there's a bad building strategy that has been adopted by the city. It's under the COO. We're trying to reclaim those buildings back. This was a privately owned building, and then most of the building owners are hiring their security for, to ensure that the building is actually secured. So Zambezi is owned by a company called Riverbend. So the Riverbend is currently, it was owned by a gentleman, but he passed on. So the wife is in charge of the company now, and she reached out to a law firm that reached out to me to tell me the host what is happening with that building. So that building, the tenants were paying properly for a longest of time up until around the beginning of last year, when now some of the tenants inside started to be revolt and starting to have factions inside, factions that will pay direct to the owner, and the other faction that is going to be paying to some individual. So that's why now they reached out to Warwick's company, Imperium, to come and actually help them to restore order, to ensure that the maintenance is done, rates are paid properly, and people, they pay in the right account. So we believe that it was a hit, because those individuals internally, which is a modus operandi in the city, they start by forming some bogus committees inside the building and persuade tenants not to pay to the owner, and they will pay to them and some other protections inside there, some other individuals there, of which the SEPs and GMPD are dealing with it. So that is what actually happened there, and that's what we know so far. He was with a guy called Innocent. Innocent is a guy that works religiously with Warren. He was there yesterday to do an oversight. Look, the lawyers have been saying that, no, Warren has been frequenting there normal, properly. It's like, you can get into the building, work, but of course you get these people that will be very nasty to you. Because remember, if Warren's company is there, then they're afraid that if they reclaim that building, then people starting to pay to the owner, they're going to lose revenue. So they were very nasty to Warren and the guys there. So Warren went there to do oversight with some security company that's going to be putting biometrics and also put in CCTV. So they thought, the word on the ground, or what we are gathering so far, is that they sort of thought that Warren was the owner. So these people, they target owners. The owners, they target owners, they assassinate owners so that the building remains, floating. There's no conclusion on the building. Then you can, like that. So there is sort of on the word on the ground that normally they target owners. So they would have thought that maybe Warren was with the owner in the car. Yeah, well,
but MMC, that is what is happening. This happens, and I understand that it happens, and we've become almost so accepting of it. But as the authorities in Joburg, this cannot be allowed to happen. It cannot be the norm, where somebody, an owner, is targeted and shot. Like, what are you doing about it?
Yeah, look, we've got the special unit that we have. I mean, the TRU has been working on that. And also now that we're going to escalate, because even the province, they had a committee that is dealing with the bad buildings in their Prov Jog. So I said to the guys that, look, we might have to change some tunes now, because it seems as if, there's quite, we have to go to right into the neck of these things, because there are two gangs there that are really operating within the city and sponsored by some Zamazama kingpins. So I know that the tracing unit of SEPS have been working on that, because remember, with the JMPD, we are just doing crime, the prevention and bit of combating, but investigating capabilities are with the SEPS. So we've been feeding that in information. We've got our guys, the eyes and ears, And this information I'm telling you now is the fresh information from the JNPD TRU that is working 24 hours looking for these actually guys. We will meet tomorrow with the security guys and all of them. We are going to trace it up and then and draw up in terms of the extent of where now we can actually really intervene us as the JNPD in terms of really probably go and do raids and then combat this kind of actually guys. So, I mean, I've got to reach out for many of these guys. And then we will plot out all these areas. And but now our resources now, Mandy, is really focusing on getting the killers of Ulan or this guy, DJ Nuaras. I understand you, but we're doing our part, and we've got a building strategy within the city. We've been cleaning some of the buildings. We've got 30 plus buildings. So at least 6 we did clean them up. The problem now that we're waiting for is just that the issue of the alternative accommodation. When we evict people, we must put them somewhere else. That is actually stalling the whole process of cleaning up the city. We could have been done by, very quickly, but it's the housing. And I know that in that committee that I have in the building strategy, housing is there. Let's take them out and then clean them out. The 6th building that we've done, the moth building, is clean now. It's vacated, clean. Nothing is actually happening there. But we've removed those people and relocate them somewhere else. If, again, we can get people and remove them from these bad buildings, which we should be fine. Some of the owners have been reaching out to us because people, according to our law, we can't just take people on the streets. That is what has been really stopping us in terms of dealing with this issue. Once it's there, they reclaim. We even now adopted, even in council, that all those owners that have not been occupying, they've got high rates. Rates, then we're going to waive some of those rates, provided that they give us a plan when are they going to renovate and ensure that there's a proper security in their buildings. Something is there, man. I'm going to invite you guys probably during this week. We're going to. We are again on our toes on this issue, and especially now looking for the killers of this guy.
Dr. Chwaku, thank you very much for speaking to us. Dr. Mkini Chwaku, Joburg MMC for Public Safety, speaking to us there about the murder of Warwick Stock, DJ Warris, who was shot and killed outside the Zambezi building yesterday. Look, I'm not sure that's good enough. I don't think it's sufficient. This has been an ongoing problem for years and years and years that the authorities have just never been able to get a handle on. And there he's saying, and this is the court order, which says that they need to provide alternative accommodation for anyone who is evicted. So I think that's not sufficient. I think that there should be better processes in place. They need to root out these gangs. He said it's headed by a Zama kingpin. Well, find the kingpin. Make sure that you arrest people, hold people accountable. It's not enough that somebody like DJ Warwick Stock, DJ Warris, was killed execution style, full broad daylight on a busy road in the Joburg CBD, and we don't know why.
Good day, Mandy. This thing of hijacked buildings, I think even the tenants who are in that building have to be charged for trespassing and the lot. Now somebody is killed, those tenants have to be charged for trespassing and murder, so that this thing can just stop. Because the tenants are promoting this thing, they're moving from one building to another building, paying rent to a hijacked building. That's the cost.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bets and Asi Shege. Be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Selling your car? Don't change your festive plans. We Buy Cars will come to you and handle it in a flash. Simply complete the form on webuycars.co.za to get your offer. Gifting yourself a new ride? Visit WeBuyCars online or at any branch to find the car on your wish list. We Buy Cars, the easiest way to buy or sell your car.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Some news from our wine industry. It looks like they've had good conditions over the period. They're expecting a strong harvest this year. Wandile Sehlobos, Chief Economist at the Agricultural Business Chamber of South Africa.
Taste and quality, Stephen, when it comes to wine matters. And this time around, because we had this intense heat and nice rains at an appropriate time, it turns out that the maturation of the grapes have actually been excellent and the volume of cores has been good.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, accelerating infrastructure-led growth and economic resilience through the South African National Treasury's 11.8 billion rand infrastructure and development finance bond. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
If you're going away,
remember to take 702 and Cape Talk with you.
Download the Prime Media Plus app now.
Oh, that's me. Sorry about that. 12:26 on the Midday Report with me, Mandy Wiener. Let's look at this story now. A mild brewing diplomatic dispute between the United States and South Africa. So the Department of Home Affairs, in collaboration with other arms of law enforcement, carrying out an operation at this refugee center where Afrikaners are processed to go to the U.S. The U.S. is upset about it. They're saying that a U.S. official was detained. Let's understand this with Tulani Mabuso, who's the Deputy Director General at the Department of Home Affairs. DDG, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the 702 listeners.
Can you explain to us from the Department of Home Affairs what exactly this operation entailed and what were you doing?
Well, I think as part of the normal immigration process that we would follow when we get a tip-off on certain operations. But obviously on this one, we did gather intelligence on some of the Kenyan nationals that we found there who had entered the country as tourists. And if you are on a tourist visa, you are not allowed to work. You need to be able to have a visa that allows you to perform work. So on the basis of that, those individuals that were apprehended, they were apprehended for the purposes of deportation, and they have since left the country, and we're just left with one who will be leaving soon. The reality is that they were working without necessary documentation in clear violation of our immigration laws.
So as I understand it, earlier visa applications for Kenyan nationals to work at the centre had been declined. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, they had previously applied for visas for the purposes, obvious, of processing the individuals who were claiming asylum through the U.S. process, which obviously I wouldn't want to get into the details of that. But the reality is that when obviously those applications were reviewed for the purpose to which they wanted to come here for volunteer work, we then obviously those visas did not meet the criteria for the granting of the visas, and therefore they were therefore declined.
The U.S. is saying they're concerned that a U.S. official was detained. For clarity, were any of the U.S. officials detained? Was this a diplomatic site?
No, there was no U.S. official that was detained. What happened in that instance is that we received, there were two individuals that were asked to show their documents, whether they are in the country illegally. So they did not present us with those documents, but they presented those documents within an hour after with our law enforcement asked them to present those documents because they did not have them with themselves, and then at a later stage they were presented, and there was no U.S. official that was detained or arrested. That is far from the truth.
And in terms of formal diplomatic engagements, I imagine that's something that the Department of International Relations will be doing.
Yes, DECO has started those engagements with both Kenya and the United States of America.
DDG, thank you very much for your time. Tulani Mavuso, Deputy Director General at the Department of Home Affairs. We have reached out to the US officials as well to try and understand their version of what happened in this instance. But as the department is saying, the fact that you have foreign officials apparently coordinating with undocumented workers naturally raises serious questions about intent and diplomatic protocol. 12:30, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. Good afternoon. Prominent lawyer Ismail Ayub is set to be laid to rest this afternoon following his passing. Ayub died at the age of 83 earlier today, with the circumstances surrounding his death still unclear. Ayub was known for representing anti-apartheid activists during his career. Johannesburg officials are expected to meet with the man that slain DJ Warris allegedly last spoke to. The media personality, whose real name was Warwick Stock, was shot in the Joburg CBD yesterday. Stock was with a security team that was looking to install a biometric system at an apartment building at the time of his death. And second quarter crime statistics revealed that Cape Town remains the epicenter of violent crime in the Western Cape. The murder rate has increased by 15.3%, with a total of 1,160 murders recorded in the second quarter of this year. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Tolagile Mganga. The Proteas return to action against India in the fourth T20 from 3:30 this afternoon. South Africa are 2-1 down in the 5-match series, and Andrik Nogia has discussed what will be required to level up matters.
We back what we do, we back how we play. Just got to be better. Got to be better at certain stages, and we just got to back it. So I don't think there's anything to change. It's just to go out, express ourselves, do what we do as players, and then having the right players in the right spots. I don't think there's anything to change. It's just to be better in those moments.
In Adelaide, Australia reached stumps on day one of the third test on 326 for 8 against England. Alex Carey top scored with 106, while Jofra Archer has so far taken 3 for 29. Yesterday, the Proteas women took an unassailable 2-0 lead in their ODI series against Ireland, thanks to a 24-run win in the second game. South Africa posted 375 for 6 thanks to centuries from captain Laura Woutvat as well as Sune Luce, while Leah Jones then took 3 for 48 as the tourists were all out for 301. And in football, Sipho Mbule goals saw Bafana claiming a 1-0 win over Ghana in a friendly as they wrapped up their 2025 AFCON preparations. Hugo Bruce's Chargers will depart for the tournament in Morocco today. That's ahead of their first group game against Angola on the 22nd of December.
We will start AFCON now with another status than 2 years ago, but I agree that next week, Monday, when the game starts against Angola, that the pressure will be a little bit higher than 2 years ago when we played against Mali.
Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour, if you're heading in and out of the Joburg CBD, traffic sluggish on Main Reef Road between Anderson and Nasrec Road. Traffic is also building up in the Edenvale area, heading towards Bedford View. That's the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. While in the Mother City Elevated Freeway, slow-moving traffic heading into the Cape Town CBD. And there's also heavy delays M5 northbound. This is between the N2 and the Koeberg interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072-702-1702.
Good day to you, Mandy. Everybody employed with you. You know, Mandy, Aldo's, a place like Aldo's, is infested with foreigners whom are now have made Aldo, a place like Aldo's, their home. Why? As they say, they fear their own race upon being in a place, can I say, like Soweto, because of xenophobia and death and so forth. And besides all that, you know, I was on my way to Maponya Mall by taxi, and guess what? I met a couple over there. They were talking, and they said when they want to go home during festive, they purposely hand themselves over whereby they are taken to Kreersdorp. They are deported after 2 days, but then they see for themselves coming back. Now you tell me, Mandy, what does that tell you? Is it not the hopelessness of this ANC government?
Pepilon Aldo.
We do tend to have these problems that just hang around forever and nothing actually gets done about them. On X, Samilo says, I agree with the MMC that this requirement for alternative accommodation is a hindrance to the eviction of illegal occupiers of these hijacked buildings in Josie. Charlton said, this problem with buildings has been happening for over 15 years. They even made movies about it, yet our government just don't budge in wanting to resolve it. It's so disheartening. And then Blunip says, no one needs a right-hand man. Keep your movements to yourself if you are in the security business. Surely it's common sense. Lots of WhatsApp messages there coming in relation to the interview I did with the MMC about DJ Warris's murder. Hey, I want to ask your opinion on something. So, we do like 9-10 interviews on the show every day, and we have to decide what those interviews are. So a lot of it comes down to newsworthiness. We have this big debate in the media around what's in the public interest versus what's interesting to the public. And we take that job very seriously if we're going to dictate what we speak about on the show. So we determine what the agenda is often. I'm busy watching a press conference at the moment that the former public protector Thuli Madonsela is holding. And it's being broadcast live on Newsroom Africa and on ENCA and on some other channels as well. We have a reporter there, an EWN reporter there, and it's essentially about her fight over her life partner's estate. She's been speaking about the fight she's having with the Foxton family, or the dispute, a legal dispute now, threats to her life, she says, about around the executor. She's written to the Foxton family to discuss the estate of her late partner. Is this newsworthy? I'm just curious to know if my sense of what this is. For me, I think it's a personal issue that is now playing out in the public. This press conference is being taken live. Would you like to hear it? Should we play you some of it? And often the responsibility for that lies with me as a journalist with experience, and I'll need to determine that. And I'm just curious to know what your thoughts would be on that. We've discussed it as a team that we don't think it is in the public interest necessarily. Do you think it's in the public interest? I'd love to hear from you. Send me a WhatsApp voice note, 072 7021 702 072 567 1567.
Relax this summer
with podcasts from your favorite shows
on primemediaplus.com.
12:38 on the Midday Report. A briefing also happening today with the Department of Public Works. Minister Dean McPherson holding that briefing today about the building collapse in the north of Durban, that 5 people died in that temple collapsing. So he's been speaking about the preliminary investigation by the Council of the Built Environment into this Red Cliff collapse. Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter, has been following that for us and joins us now. Tabiso, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. What do we know about this Verulam temple and the investigation there?
Good afternoon, Mandy. As you said, Mandy, today it is the preliminary investigation of that collapse and what actually happened on Friday when this 4-story building that was going to be a temple, a Hindu temple, we'd like to believe, actually collapsed and killed 5 people and seriously injured about 6 more people. So what we've been told from the preliminary investigations is that what happened, Mandy, is that the sudden collapse happened during the pouring in of wet concrete from one of the upper layers. So that's where the collapse started, from the upper layers, and obviously went down to the people that were below the ground, and the entire structure collapsed. But in terms of the other findings from this preliminary investigation, I have to say, Mandy, that they are quite damning, especially for the builders and the developers, where it was found that they used very substandard and poor quality material. This goes from the cement to the blocks and to those all other construction materials that was used. It was interesting that the Minister for Department of Public Works and Infrastructure said that the builders and the developers have not been identified. What we do know is that they are currently in the wind, and that the police and the department are actually searching for them, because obviously they have a lot of very serious questions to answer. But also another finding, Mandy, is that this building did not have any sort of approval building plans that were submitted to the eThekwini municipality. So they were building without any authorization. And because they were building without any authorization, they sort of slipped under the radar for the eThekwini municipality in terms of the eThekwini municipality's mechanisms, where if obviously you do submit an approved building plan, the eThekwini municipality has to do sort of regular checks and maintenance in terms of how that building is carrying on. So that's where we are. As I said, Mandy, it is a preliminary investigation, but what they found so far is that obviously poor workmanship, the use of substandard material, but also there were no approved building plans. And when you even look at the locations where this temple was actually being built, it's quite a secluded area, so it's just away from the public eye. So it was very difficult for the eThekwini municipality to do those regular checks because this is a building that was being built without any approved plan or authorization. Mandy.
I mean, it's alarming to think that, especially after what happened in George last year. What did the minister say about why that was the case, why this wasn't stopped?
I think it obviously goes to the fact that it was a building that was built without any approved plans, and because it was built sort of under. It was built without any sort of government authorization. It just slipped under the radar. And I did mention obviously over the fact that the secluded area of where it was built, it actually is one of those things that happens where it's just people in the public, they may obviously just recognize and say that you just assume that if a 4-story building goes up, you just assume this is, it's being built with the correct authorizations. And as we said, Mandy, that the builders and the developers, they are currently in the wind. They are being searched for by the police. We do know that obviously, unfortunately, one of the men that died, from the 5 people that died, is actually one of the men who said he was the founder of this temple. So obviously it is quite a traumatic situation in terms of holding those people to account, especially because one of the people that actually came up with this building idea is actually now has unfortunately passed, and his family is obviously going through a lot of traumatic experience. But that's where we are now. What we do know is that obviously there is going to be a much more detailed investigation. There's search and rescue teams have left the scene. It is now a crime scene. It has been handed over to both the police and also the Department of Employment and Labor.
Thank you very much, Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter, with a report there on that briefing by the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure.
7:02.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
Today is the 17th of June, and that means it's the deadline for the preliminary report, or the interim report rather, in the Madlanga Commission to be handed to the President. We know that this is not going to be made public. Vincent Magwenya is the spokesperson for the President and joins us now. Vincent, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. So I know that you are driving at the moment, so we're going to try our best, I think like many South Africans, Vincent, on the road. We're going to try our best to get this line working. We're going to hope for the best here. So Vincent, has the preliminary report been handed over?
Not yet, Mandy, but we're expecting it to be handed over today as agreed and as expected from the Commission.
Okay, and just remind us, this is a preliminary report. There are deadlines that have been instituted by the presidency in terms of this commission, and that's because he wants constant updates.
Yes, so it's the preliminary report that will bring the president up to speed with where the commission is thus far. As you know, they are still to hear more evidence, and even from those who've already appeared before the commission are going to come back and deliver more evidence. That's one of the reasons we are not releasing the report publicly, because there's still more work to be done, but it will certainly be helpful in terms of giving the president a steer with respect to where things are at the moment.
And Vincent, what are some of the other reasons that this report is not being made public at this stage?
Well, Mandy, we just, recognize that it will be unhelpful to release an incomplete report. Rather, as the president has undertaken, it will be better to release the final report where you will have more conclusive findings, and the president can then take action from there. More importantly, though, the president also expects the commission to refer matters that are of a criminal nature for criminal prosecution, and that does not have to wait for the delivery of the final report.
And in general, is the president happy with how the inquiry is proceeding?
Well, happy is a relative term.
Satisfied?
He's concerned about the nature of the issues that are obviously coming to the fore, but satisfied with the fact that the work of the commission is proceeding. He did find it disturbing when a witness was killed, and did instruct that more measures be looked at in terms of protecting those who have appeared before the commission as well as those who are still to appear.
Vincent Magwenya, spokesperson for the president, thank you very much for your time giving us an update there. I said 17th of June, hey? Sorry, it's December. 17th of December. So it's the deadline today for that preliminary report from the Midlanga Commission to be handed to the president.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener,
winner of the Best News and Actuality Show
at the Telkom Radio Awards.
So I love debates around public interest and what is in the public interest, what is interesting to the public. So I've asked the question whether or not we should be broadcasting Thuli Madonsela's press conference live. I'm not saying this is not a criticism of my colleagues. Please understand that. I'm asking for the debate to happen. So Mautle says, good day, Mandy and the 702 listeners. I personally did not even know that Prof. Thuli Madonsela had a partner, as you mentioned. You're not saying it was her husband, therefore I'm not even sure why it has come to a point where she's entangled in a legal battle with whoever is opposing her wishes. It will only be fair to some of the listeners of 702 to know how the matter is being handled legally. Okay. Very interesting. David Smith says, hi, Mandy. I don't understand the public interest in the murder of someone who worked as a DJ when there are so many murders in South Africa every day. I mean, that's interesting. So that's the lead story. I think it is because he is high profile. He is known to many. So there is a degree of fame, I suppose, and that people are talking about it. But I understand your point there. Gary says, Thuli Madonsela is not in public office. It's a private matter and of no interest. Great show. Thank you very much, Gary. And then a few other messages as well. Hello, Mandy. I wholeheartedly support you and your team's call on the topic. I personally couldn't give a continental, and a few other messages. I just think the debate is interesting, whether or not we should be listening to Thuli Madonsela. She is a public figure. Many people are interested in her. She doesn't hold public office, but I do think she's very high profile, and that may be the reason. But keep your messages coming. I think it's an important conversation for us to have and for us to be held accountable as well.
702 and Cape Talk
lives online on primemediaplus.com.
12:49 on the Midday Report. Inflation numbers are out. Annual consumer price inflation easing to 3.5% in November from 3.6% in October. So that's a slight cooling. Let's unpack that with Patrick Kelly, who's the Chief Director for Price Statistics at Stats SA. Patrick, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time today. Talk us through some of the influences there on inflation slightly easing.
Yeah, thanks, Mandy. So as you say, inflation came in at 3.5% in November. I think generally if we look across the whole basket of the CPI, we do see quite a lot of balance. So we've seen inflation cooling, so coming down a little bit in 5 of our categories. 4, there was no change, and 3, we see ticking up a little bit. I think the slight cooling off is mainly a result of a slowdown in transport inflation. And here we could look both at fuel, which is very commonly the factor driving month-to-month changes, but also quite slowing down of inflation for vehicle purchases, both new vehicles, which are now at 1.2%, which is a lot lower than they had been, say, 2 years ago, and used vehicle inflation actually negative at 1.8%.
Food inflation heating up. I mean, food's already so expensive, and we're seeing yet more increases in the price of food.
Yeah, certainly. So food inflation ticked up to 4.4%. That was off 3.9% in October. And again, there's kind of a mixed bag here. So some food categories, really high inflation levels, such as meat, which has been like this for some months. Beef, in particular, jumped up about 3 or 4 months ago. And now we see other types of meat, such as pork or mutton, sausages, for example, really accelerating in their price changes. But if we look, at a counterpoint, dairy products are actually at negative 1.2% in November. Full cream milk, as an example, is negative 1.2%. Eggs, really in deflationary territory at negative 9%.
You mentioned what some of the cooling influences are, and transport being the big driver there. The lower price for used vehicles, explain that to us.
Yeah, so we do see used vehicles trending actually cheaper now than they were a year ago. If we look back a number of years, transport or vehicle inflation in particular was quite high at around 8% in 2023, and it's slowed steadily since then. My understanding from talking to people in the industry is that this is largely a result of much cheaper Chinese cars coming into the market and forcing prices down compared to what they had been. And so, in particular, then there's this kind of flood of used vehicles that is causing them to be a lot cheaper than they had been previously.
Patrick, thank you so much. Patrick Kelly is the Chief Director for Price Statistics at Stats SA, speaking to us there about inflation slightly easing to 3.5%.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Mandy, our government is a problem. Criminals have too much rights in this country. Criminals have too much right. They can do what they want to do. They know nothing going to happen to them. Michael, Edenville.
Hi, Mandy. The death of DJ Wallace is just shocking, so sad. And the idea that you have to find alternative accommodation for people that hijack a building, that occupy a building illegally, the least you can do is give them notice. After that, they must see their own way. This country, man, it's just a very disappointing situation we have. There's no political will to deal with the enforcement of the law in this country. I'm just disappointed in this country, man.
Some moments only come around once, like the Audi year-end sale. Get the Audi A1 from $6,999 per month with no deposit, a 90-day payment break, so you only start paying next year. Plus, a guaranteed buyback. There's limited time to show up, but unlimited time to stand out in the Audi A1. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest Audi dealer before the 24th of December. T's and C's apply.
This is Cindy on a 4-hour road trip with the girls.
Did you know in the 1970s, this landmark...
And this is Cindy when she shares her 200 gig for 299 Rand on her MiFi router.
Guys, Dodo, you're the DJ.
Extra your summer with a 200 gig SIM-only data deal for only 299 Rand per month and stream anywhere with 2 months free YouTube Premium plus 5 gigs free YouTube data. Sign up or upgrade online and in store. T's and C's apply. Further together with Vodacom.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 46669.
And now, it's back to Mandy Wiener on the Midday Report.
This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12:55 on the Midday Report. On the WhatsApp line, Sipo says, Mandy, DJ Waras was gunned down while Shebe demanded a bail for using a gun and a knife. How will illegal immigrants in a hijacking of building be broadcast by the media? And that's from Sipo. Thank you very much. Oh, so that is breaking news that's just come out now. Shebe Mabona, the Limpopo musician who is accused of attempted murder after shooting a motorist during a road rage incident, he has been denied bail in the court. So some breaking news coming through there.
702
and Cape Talk.
Summer.
Summer, is it summer in Joburg? Like really, summer's here for like 2 days and then it disappears. And for those of you in Cape Town, maybe you won't understand this, but it's like Cape Town is experiencing summer, Joburg is experiencing this other season that we don't really know what it is. Lekgolo Tobela, forecaster at the SA Weather Service, joining us now because severe thunderstorms, possible flooding, wind, hail in 7 provinces across the country. Lekgolo, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. What is the summer you speak of?
Good afternoon, and thanks for the invite. It is a summer of more rain and some cool conditions, especially during the day, and you can still expect some warmer evenings, but with more of thunderstorms in the afternoon. I mean, starting with thunderstorms, and speaking of thunderstorms, we're expecting a 60% chance of showers and thunder showers for the central and the eastern parts of the country. This will cover the Free State into the northwest, Gauteng, as well as into Mpumalanga and the southern parts of Limpopo. However, in the most parts of the eastern areas, this will cover KwaZulu-Natal into the eastern half of the Eastern Cape. You can expect an 80% chance of showers and thunder showers into the afternoon. We have 2 weather warnings. There is a yellow level 2 warning of severe thunderstorms, which means that we're expecting a high likelihood of minor impact of heavy downpours that may lead to localized flooding, a possibility of damaging winds, as well as a possibility of hail and excessive lightning. This is expected in the northwest, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, as well as into Limpopo, Free State, and the northern parts of the Eastern Cape. In KwaZulu-Natal, we're expecting an orange level 5 warning, which is a medium likelihood of significant impact of severe thunderstorms, which are also expected to be accompanied by more hail, as well as heavy downpours that lead to localized flooding. For tomorrow, it is a 60% chance of showers and thunder showers for the eastern parts. This will cover Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Gauteng, as well as into KwaZulu-Natal. In KwaZulu-Natal, expecting a widespread chance of showers and thunder showers into the afternoon for tomorrow, and we're still expecting significant impact of severe thunderstorms across most parts of the eastern provinces. This would also include Limpopo, Mpumalanga, into Gauteng, as well as the eastern parts of the northwest, and not leaving out KwaZulu-Natal. So we're expecting more thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon, and as the seasonal forecast is alluding to a weak La Nina season, we're still expecting above normal rains for the eastern provinces. So it is the summer of being wet and cool during the day, but in some instances when there is no rain, you can expect some warm nights, as we're expecting above normal temperatures for minimum temperatures, but the maximums are expected to be below normal for the eastern provinces.
Why are we seeing such a rainy summer in Joburg this year?
Well, it starts with the seasonal forecast, and it suggests a weak La Nina. When you have La Nina, you have enough moisture for it to trigger the rain that we're having, and enough clouds that then produce rain in the eastern parts. And with that being known is that we have summer, and in summer usually temperatures are warm. That's why when it starts to heat up in the afternoon, you start seeing thunderstorms. Now, because the heat is quite strong and is also being a trigger with more of the weather systems assisting each other to actually have more ingredients for severe thunderstorms, that's why we're seeing a lot more of these thunderstorms. So one thing that is really the culprit of why we're having more rain is that we have enough moisture that is needed for the clouds to produce more water.
Letlhonolo, thank you very much. Letlhonolo Tubela, forecaster at the Weather Service. Yeah, that takes me straight back to geography. If there's more moisture, there's more water, so there's more rain. I mean, that does make sense, right? But I think all of us just a bit frustrated in Joburg. For Cape Town, I hope you're living your best life to the Cape Talk listeners on the beach and having beautiful weather. In Joburg, we just have rain and a lot of it. Although the last 2 days have been pretty good, to be fair. But now level 7 weather warnings for various provinces. Well, thank you very much for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow. It's 1 o'clock and time for Eyewitness News.
This is EWN.
Officials believe DJ Warris was targeted for doing his job, and Cape Town still experiencing high levels of violent crimes. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Johannesburg Community MMC